The old train station was quiet except for the chugging of a giant train. It looked fancy, all shiny metal and pretty carvings, like something out of a history book. "Cool," I said, a little out of breath from running to catch the train. This wasn't what I pictured for a night tour. But hey, a fancy train ride sounded pretty fun. A conductor, dressed very neatly in black, materialized beside the train, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. "Welcome aboard, traveler," he greeted warmly, extending a gloved hand. "You must be our special guest for the scenic night tour." I shook his hand. I felt a little weird, though. "Yeah, that's me," I stammered. "But where is everyone else?" The conductor's smile got a bit bigger than normal, his eyes gleaming with an odd look. He said in a calming way, "The best experiences are often best enjoyed alone. Now, shall we get you settled in for a truly unforgettable journey?" Unforgettable, huh? My throat tightened. This scenic tour was already feeling a bit scary than the brochure promised. I walked behind the conductor onto the soft carpet at the train door. The interior was even more impressive than the outside fancy seats, shiny wood and flickering lights giving off an odd glow. But I soon saw something strange. All the cabins were empty, every single one. I felt a weird, creepy feeling, like a bunch of spiders were crawling on me. "Looks like everyone else must be enjoying the scenery from their cabins already," the conductor chuckled, his voice echoing in the vast emptiness. I mumbled a short okay and glanced at the scattered luggage. Suitcases, a journal, and a teddy bear were all abandoned in a rush. Where were the owners? With a deep breath, I pushed open the creaking door, stepping into the unknown. The air grew colder with each step, sending shivers down my spine. The train itself seemed to groan, a rhythmic creak adding to the eerie silence. Flickers of movement in the corner of my eye sent my head whipping around, but there was nothing there. The train was toying with me. My phone, useless with no signal, mocked me in my hand. Claustrophobia squeezed my chest. What had I gotten myself into? This scenic night tour had become a nightmare: empty cabins, abandoned belongings, an unsettling quiet broken only by the train's moans. It was all too much, but I had to keep going. This was terrifying. The train was empty, my phone was dead, and it felt super cold. I needed to find the conductor and ask him what was going on. I hurried back to the conductor. My heart was racing, but the carpet muffled the sound. "Welcome back," the conductor said. "Is something wrong?" I said, "No passengers. Why so cold?" The man's words didn't calm me down one bit. In fact, they made me even more suspicious. "Different scenery?" I asked again, barely a whisper. "What do you mean?" The conductor laughed, a short, humorless sound. "Don't you worry about it, dear traveler. Now, remember, I promised you a trip you'd never forget. Want to keep going?" He pointed to a big, fancy double door at the end of the train car. The carvings on the door were beautiful, but the flickering gaslight made them look even more interesting. The nervousness in my stomach turned into something much worse: fear. Where exactly was this unforgettable trip taking me? The double doors were huge and scary looking in front of me. My hand shook as I reached for the fancy handle. The conductor's eyes sparkled in a way that made me feel uneasy. I took a deep breath and opened the doors. A wave of cold air hit me. The dining car was amazing. There were white tablecloths everywhere and silverware that sparkled. It looked like a giant feast was ready, but all the chairs were empty. The silence was heavy and scary, except for the faint sound of silverware clinking somewhere I couldn't see. It made my skin crawl. A whisper, barely there and spooky, brushed past my ear. Such a waste, young and all alone. I turned around quickly, looking everywhere for where the voice came from, but I saw nothing. My heart was beating really fast. A cold fear filled my stomach. Was I really alone? Another whisper, this time sounding sad, came from a dark corner. Never saw the mountains again. These weren't echoes, these were people talking. Whispers from people I couldn't see. I felt something cold brush past me, a touch that made me shiver. The silverware clinked again, like a sad song in the creepy silence. Fear choked me. I had to get away. But where could I go? Whispers filled the air, stories of lives cut short and trapped. This train wasn't just for riding, it was a jail for lost souls. A terrible feeling hit me I might be stuck here forever, just like them. The whispers grew louder, a spooky chorus bouncing around the giant dining car. I desperately needed answers, so I spun around to face the conductor. He stood out in the dim light. "What's happening?" I yelled, my voice rough. "Who are these people? Why can't they leave?" The conductor's smile, always there before, finally disappeared. His eyes squinted, and his nice act vanished, replaced by something cold and scary. "These passengers," he said in a mean voice, "died on this train. Now they're stuck forever, reliving their final moments." The truth hit me hard, like a train crash. This wasn't a fun trip, it was a nightmare with ghosts. The whispers weren't just sounds, they were cries of sadness from trapped souls. "What about me?" I croaked, terror making it hard to speak. "Why am I here?" The conductor smiled again, but this time it was real and creepy. "That, my dear friend," he said, "is something you have to figure out." His cruel words hung in the awful silence. Stuck on a train with angry spirits forever? No way. My body filled with energy, pushing away fear with a strong need to escape. I ran past the conductor, the fancy dining car a blur as I raced for the exit. My heart pounded like crazy, copying the non-stop movement of the train. Every creak and groan sounded like a ghost moaning because I was so scared. I yanked on the doors at the end of the car, but they wouldn't open. Locked. Panic filled my throat. I pounded on the doors, screaming for help from anyone. The whispers seemed to get louder, a scary chorus of sadness and anger. Desperate, I looked for another way out. Windows? Nailed shut. Emergency exit? Not anywhere. This fancy train, once a symbol of luxury, was now my metal cage. Suddenly, a horrible thought hit me. What if there wasn't a world outside? What if this train and its ghostly passengers were all that existed, forever moving through an empty wasteland? The idea of that almost crushed me. I stumbled back, feeling defeated, the whispers swirling around me like a bad fog. Just as despair threatened to take over, I knew I had to fight. I might not be able to escape, but I wouldn't give in to their darkness. Sadness chipped away at my sanity. Stuck on this ghost train with no way out, the whispers threatened to drown me in their misery, but a spark of defiance ignited within me. I wouldn't give up. Memories of the forgotten things, the lost diary, the child's teddy bear came back to me. These weren't just ghost noises, they were signs of lives that ended too soon. Lives that deserved to be heard. Taking a shaky breath, I spoke to the unseen presences. "Listen to me," my voice echoed in the vast emptiness. "Don't worry," I said louder. "Your stories are important. We need to find a way out together." Suddenly, the train jerked hard. The steady chugging turned into a scary screech. The lights flickered and went out, leaving the dining car dark. Scared shouts filled the air from the other passengers. In all the confusion, a cold, weak hand touched mine. A ghostly figure slowly appeared in front of me. Its eyes were sad, and it looked right at me. "Help us," it whispered in a rough voice. The train jerked again, and a loud, awful screech filled the air. The conductor appeared in the doorway, his face very angry. "You think you can fight me?" he yelled. But before he could do anything, a wave of weird ghost energy filled the car. It came from all the trapped souls' pain and their will to get free. The conductor jumped back, his face filled with pure fear. The train screeched one last, super loud time, then stopped completely. The lights turned back on, and the conductor was gone. The whispers that were sad before now had a little bit of something new in them, hope. The doors at the end of the car, which were locked before, creaked open slowly. I was scared, but I stepped forward. The unseen ghosts were quiet and hopeful behind me. What was outside the doors? I didn't know. But for the first time in a very long time, I wasn't alone. And maybe, just maybe, there was a way to escape, to find peace for everyone. The doors at the end of the car, which were locked before, creaked open slowly. With a deep breath, I stepped forward, the unseen ghosts a silent hope behind me. The unknown stretched beyond, but for the first time it felt less like an ending and more like a beginning.